Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can probably tell from the title, in today's video, I am going to be talking about how to deal with an asshole. This was actually requested in another video that I posted about what I do for work and why I hate it. And if you're interested in watching that video, then I will link that in the description box below. Anyways, I received so many comments on that video from other viewers who have worked in the same line of work as me, which is hospitality or the service industry. I have been bartending for over 5 years, and I've been working in restaurants and nightlife since I finished high school. So if you've ever worked at a restaurant or a lounge or a nightclub or at a fast food chain or as a barista, then you feel me. Anyways, I read every single one of your comments and I did my best to respond to all of them. And some of you guys told me stories that involved customers or management being assholes to you at work. And it literally made me want to go through some sort of a time machine and relive those moments for you so I could handle fucking business. Because I've seriously been there so many times before myself, and I know exactly how it feels and how frustrating it is. Obviously, if someone is ever making you feel extremely uncomfortable, the easiest thing to do is walk away from the situation or just remove yourself from the situation entirely. But unfortunately, when you're at work, that isn't always possible, and sometimes that really sucks. So I'm going to tell you the best tactics I've found on how to deal with an asshole at work when you simply cannot escape this situation. And a lot of this is going to be geared towards how to deal with an asshole as a woman, because first of all, I am one, and second of all, I think the perception of women being vulnerable makes us an easy target for assholes. Anyways, I want you all to picture yourself at your job, having a great day, or as great of a day as you can possibly have if you're working a job that you hate, when suddenly you encounter an asshole. So we have all heard the phrase that the customer is always right, and to me, that is simply just not always true. And I honestly think that concept is kind of outdated and sort of a tactic for businesses to encourage employees to act passively in stressful situations where there's conflict. And I think it discourages us from standing up for ourselves in situations where sometimes it's warranted. So when employers say to me that the customer is always right, I kind of feel like they're saying, if somebody does something that offends you or is disrespectful to you, then you sit there like a little bitch and take it. And that is honestly just not how I operate. I am also all about handling situations non-aggressively and without any violence, but you can still do both of those things and let somebody know what the fuck is up. One of the most important things ever that I cannot stress enough is do not take anything personally while you are at work. I used to have such a big issue with this, and I have wasted so much time in my life getting upset and dwelling on situations that really have no impact on my life. And now I have completely detached emotionally from stressful situations at work, and the quality of my life has improved tremendously. The second thing that I can't stress enough is that you want to avoid name calling or making jabs at someone else. This is something that is not always easy for me, but both of those things are counterproductive and really don't give you the upper hand to the situation. There is definitely a situation that I could remember that occurred last year where I told a guy that I wished him the worst luck in life and that I knew he had it coming to him. It did actually feel gratifying in the moment, but I do not recommend taking that route. You can be super blunt and honest with someone, however, and I definitely encourage that in some situations. So I am going to describe a few different possible scenarios that I have encountered at my own job, and then I'm going to tell you the best ways that I have found to addressing those situations. Situation 1, you work at a restaurant or a bar and somebody is persistently sending food and drinks back or complaining. So to clarify, if something is wrong with your food and you send it back, I do not think you are an asshole. And sometimes some people just don't like something, and that is also fine. But there are also those people that are never happy with anything and will deliberately send every single thing back. I used to feel super annoyed in situations like this, but I honestly realized that it does not matter. So I would say follow the protocol at your job for a situation like this. If somebody sends something back, the polite thing to do is to comp it or take it off their bill, or to have your manager do it for you. And if it gets really extreme, I would just get your manager to handle the situation entirely. There's a woman that comes into the bar that I currently work at, and she literally has sent every drink back that I've ever made her. I've probably made her at least a dozen drinks, and she has sent every single one of them back. So if she comes into my bar now and she tries to get my attention, I politely but very firmly say to her, I'm happy to get you another bartender or my manager, but I will not make you a drink that I know you're going to send back. Situation 2, somebody is at your bar or in your restaurant complaining about service being really slow in a way that is disrespectful or rude. Or they are snapping or clapping or screaming at you, trying to get your attention. No one should ever be like clapping or snapping at you anyways to get your attention. And when this happens, I usually say something like, hey, my name is Julia. I don't respond to the way you're trying to get my attention, but feel free to use my name if I can help you in any way. To avoid this situation, for the most part, I make sure to touch base with every single person who comes to my bar, even if I'm busy, just to acknowledge that I know that they're there and that I'll serve them as soon as I can. And sometimes I know it's difficult when things are really busy, but even just dropping a menu and saying, hey, here's a menu, I'll be with you as soon as possible, or hi, how are you? I see you and I'll be with you shortly, or hey, just give me a couple minutes and I'll be right with you. Those types of interactions let somebody know that you are not ignoring them, and I find that people are really receptive to this and a lot more understanding if there is a wait. However, there are still those people that do not understand you are making 500 jalapeno cilantro margaritas. And sometimes people are gonna shout at you even after you've already touched base with them and let them know that you'll be with them as soon as possible. I'll usually let that slide 1 or 2 times depending on how angry I feel, but after that I usually say something to the effect of, this is a really busy bar and I already let you know that I get to you as soon as possible. Do you think talking to me in that way is going to help me serve you faster? And if it gets really extreme, you can always say, if you want to keep screaming that loudly, I'm happy to have security escort you outside where none of us can hear you. Obviously, you don't want to resort to that if you can avoid it, but sometimes people really just don't take the hint and you need to be super straightforward. Situation 3. Someone is hitting on you relentlessly or in a crude or inappropriate manner. Okay, now if somebody tells you that you're beautiful or compliments one of your features on your face, then there's no need to fire back or get defensive, even if that person might disgust you. I usually just say, thank you, that's flattering, or a simple thank you is fine. If it gets to the point where they're making inappropriate remarks about your body that make you feel uncomfortable, feel free to say the following. I can't find any features on you that I like at all, so feel free to stop commenting on mine. Or if they're asking you for your number over and over again and you've already rejected them nicely, you can say something like this. I would never ever go out with you or entertain this conversation if it happened outside of here, and I'm only talking to you right now because it's my job. Or you can keep it simple and simply say, I do not find you attractive at all, I do not like the way you are talking to me, and I would never go out with you. Obviously, the goal is not to hurt someone's feelings, but if somebody takes a conversation too far, it's totally okay to be very straightforward and blunt. If you don't feel comfortable being that assertive to somebody, you can always say something like, I work really hard at my job, and people like you make my job a lot harder. Situation 4. Someone touches you in a way that is uncomfortable or inappropriate. And at work, I feel like there are 2 acceptable ways to make physical contact with someone. The first one is if you're introducing yourself or if somebody is introducing themselves to you. And the second is sometimes in really busy and congested bars, I do occasionally put my hand on someone's shoulder lightly and let them know if I'm behind them or in front of them, especially if I'm like carrying a tray of drinks or something, and I kind of just use that as a common courtesy. Anything else to me is really not okay when it comes to a stranger. If somebody that you don't know tries to hug you or kiss you on the hand or touches you across the bar or inappropriately as you walk by, then you need to let them know that it's not okay. And obviously you want to use your best judgment. If you feel comfortable with something, then most likely it's okay. But if anything makes you feel uncomfortable, then you need to let that person know that what they're doing is not acceptable. Also, if somebody is threatening your life or threatening to harm you physically, then please call the police or seek outside help immediately. I live in Los Angeles, and I know that most busier restaurants and clubs here have some form of security, and that is what they are there for. So never be afraid to ask for help if you feel like you need it. I was actually in a situation in New York where I was continually sexually harassed and then assaulted by my own boss, and I would not wish that on anyone. So I think it is very important to be aware of your surroundings and aware of your options, and you better believe that if I was with you at a bar and somebody gave you a hard time at your job, I would whoop an ass for you. Not physically, of course, but I would verbally whoop an ass, and they would never give you a hard time ever again. I hope this video was helpful for you if you work in hospitality or the service industry. Or maybe you just watched it and felt like you could really relate to what I'm saying. If you guys have any comments of things that have worked well for you, or if you want to tell me more stories about interactions that you've had at work that were negative and how you handled them, then I would be really interested to hear about those. Ideally, we would like all of our interactions in the workplace to be positive ones, but that is really just not simply the case all the time. If you like this video and want me to make more videos like this, then please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.